Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan, Astrologer and Life Navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the full moon, the next full moon, which is coming up on the 24th of February in the sign of Virgo. This is the last full moon of the astrological year because the sun has now moved into Pisces and will spend about a month here and then move into Aries. So it'll be the last full moon that we have this year. And it's a real opportunity to purge and let go of what we don't want to carry into the next year. You know, although we say that the 1st of January is the first of the year, it's not really. The first of the year is really when the sun moves into Aries. That's actually the energy of new beginnings and new starts. So this is the end of a year's cycle, basically. So when we look at full moons, always what happens is the sun is opposite the moon at the exact degree. So the sun is shining his light onto the moon, and the moon is receiving the light and reflecting it back to the sun. So it's the culmination, it's the sort of the high point of the moon cycle. It's always a release point, but this one more so than normal. So when we look at what the energy of this is, if you look at the sun has just moved into the sign of Pisces. It's when I'm making this is about the 21st of Feb, and the sun has just moved in. It's at 2 degrees of Pisces, and it's heading towards the full moon, which will be at about 4 and 5 degrees of Pisces. Then on the 28th of February, the sun actually connects in with Saturn at the same degree, which only happens once a year. So quite a lot going on this full moon. So let's just look at, first of all, the kind of archetypal energy of Pisces and Virgo. So the sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo. The sun in Pisces really connects us with our inner knowing, our intuition. It represents flow. It represents beingness. It's Pisces is the fish, the two fish, and they're swimming in opposite directions. They're in the ocean of awareness. Pisces represents our need and our desire to connect to all that is, to connect to that inner knowing, to connect to wisdom, to connect to source, if you like. Its ruler, Pisces' ruler, is the planet Neptune, which is the king of the ocean, which means that everything is connected at all times. And at some level, inside each of us, we know that there is this interconnection between all beings. So that's Pisces, that's the Pisces energy. It's very much a surrendered energy. It's a beingness, it's a gentle, soft, feminine energy. And it's the final sign of the zodiac. So the zodiac starts with Aries and it ends with Pisces. So each year, as we go through the cycle, the end point is as the sun moves through Pisces, which is where we're releasing the year that we've just experienced. So this is the beginning of this last month's cycle as the sun moves through Pisces. So now the moon is opposite the sun in Virgo. If you look at Virgo, Virgo is an earth sign. It's quite pragmatic, it's quite practical, it's quite grounded, and it's got to do with discernment. It's got to do with looking at what's working, what's not working, what's right, what's wrong. It's known in astrology as the Virgin Goddess, and it's also known for the desire to purify, the desire to heal and make whole. So it's a sign that's very connected with healing in all different areas. Healing of the mind, healing of the body, healing of the soul. It's a healing sign. When we have anything in Virgo, there's a focus on clearing out what is no longer needed. So it's connected with things like detoxing the mind, body, soul, the thoughts that no longer serve us, what we're doing in our physical lives that no longer serves us. Virgo is very connected with putting in structures and putting in routines, which is not something that Pisces wants. Pisces just wants to float in the ocean. Virgo wants to say, okay, but how are you going to do that? What's your structure? What's your routine? So when we have a moon in Virgo, it really is a very good time to take some time to just look at our routines, to look at if we have got a healthy routine, what are we doing? How are we starting our day? Are we starting it in a settled fashion? Are we doing a meditation or spending some sacred time, spending some quiet time before we go hurtling into the craziness of the world? Or are we just hurtling into the craziness of the world? Have we let our practices that really help us slip, perhaps, over the last while? It's been a very busy time, and there's been a lot going on for a lot of people. And that tends to happen when there's a lot going on, things like meditation and yoga and walking and being and just enjoying the creative side of life. Those things tend to fall by the wayside when life gets too busy. So Virgo is here to remind us and say, but what about that? What about your routine? What about that meditation practice that you wanted to start? What about that detox that you wanted to do? How's your food going? Are you eating the right food for you? It's very, very much a time to listen to our hearts, listen to our bodies, listen to what the messages are that we're receiving, and then to actually act on whatever comes through. Pisces is basically saying take time out to listen so that the messages can actually come through. It is a portal for that. And the portal that is helping us with that is that we have Chiron at the moment, which is the wounded healer, in a direct alignment with the north node of the moon. Now, this is a big alignment because it only actually happens once every 18 years or so, although the cycle of this one, the last time this actually happened with Chiron onto the north node was in 2008, which is interesting because that's when Pluto moved into Capricorn. And as I've spoken about, Pluto has now moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius. So there seems to be some links here to what was going on for you in 2008. So the North Node in astrology represents our purpose, our destiny, our growth, our evolution. In a natal chart, when I do a natal chart reading, the North Node really points us in the direction of what our soul journey is about this time round. So what have we come to accomplish? What have we come to heal? What karma have we come to clear? That's represented by the North Node. The South Node represents where we've come from, our karma, our old conditioning, our old patterns. So the North Node axis is very much connected to destiny. Now, when Chiron comes around once every 18 years or so, it starts to actually look at what needs to be shifted in terms of us moving further into our destiny point. And it's an opportunity to heal because Chiron represents in astrology the wounded healer. So it's where we have a wound that never completely heals. It's always there to remind us of what this journey is about. And the journey that we're on this planet is not necessarily an easy journey. It can be filled with struggle. It can be filled with suffering. It can be filled with challenges. And it can be filled also with reactivities, with patterns that seem to keep on going around and around and around. If you've done any of Eckhart Tolle's work, he refers to the pain body. I see Chiron as very similar to the pain body. It's that part of us that gets triggered by a situation, by a comment, by a particular person, by a particular group of people. And we get triggered because there's something underlying that trigger which needs to be healed. And this Chiron going onto the North Node is a portal and an opportunity to really take that healing to another layer, another level, to actually find out what it is underneath the surface. So if you find that you're being triggered by somebody and anger is coming up, this is a chance and an opportunity for us to look deeper and see, okay, what is this? What is this anger? What is this resentment? What is this jealousy? Or whatever it is that's coming up for you. What is this sense of not being good enough? This sense of being dismissed, this sense of not being heard, or whatever your particular Chiron or wound would be. This is an opportunity to see it, to bring it into the light of day, and to find a level of healing and alchemy. Alchemy means shifting it and changing it into something else. And that something else is much more aligned with your destiny because it's on the destiny point. So it's a very positive portal, this Chiron on the North Node. So it feels to me that this is intentionally a very, very powerful time to release those little parts of ourselves, the part of ourselves that might hold ourselves to be small, the part of ourselves that might be too judgmental of ourselves or others, too critical of ourselves or others. Those are themes that also relate to Virgo. So on the shadow side of Virgo, there's criticism, there's judgment, there's pedanticism, there's having to be right, having to get it perfect. And having to get it perfect can actually keep us stuck in the same place because we're terrified to make a mistake. So can we now use the energy of Pisces to come in and say, it's okay, what's a mistake? Can you allow life to flow? That's the energy of Pisces. Can you allow yourself to be in presence, just dealing with what appears to you in life? Can you say yes to what's presented? Now, it's very easy to say yes when things are positive. It's not so easy when there's a challenge. So can you say yes to the challenge because possibly this challenge is opening me up to some higher growth, to a potential liberation that I haven't actually got to yet. And possibly this person or this situation is showing me the very thing that is stopping me from becoming whole, which is healing. So that's how I'm reading the energy of this full moon. It's potent. We're also being given some assistance by Saturn, this full moon, because Saturn is sitting in quite a close alignment to the Sun. As I mentioned earlier, Sun is moving towards what we call a conjunction, or basically it's moving towards Saturn, and it'll exact on the 28th, but we're still feeling it, and we're definitely feeling it this full moon. What is Saturn? Saturn is the teacher. It's Father Time. It's that planet which helps us to mature and grow and find wisdom in our lives. So if you look at what Saturn's message is, because it's right next to the Sun, Saturn is obviously in Pisces with the Sun, and it entered into Pisces last year and has been making its way backwards and forwards, and it's now at the first degrees of Pisces. So wherever you have sort of 1 to 5 degrees or 6 degrees of Pisces in your chart, you would be feeling that the same as if you've got 5 or 6 degrees of Virgo. If it's activating an area in your chart, you would be feeling it more profoundly. So, for example, it might be crossing over, Saturn might be crossing over the area in your chart which relates to home. It could mean that you are starting something new in terms of your home and reaching a new level of maturity, or your career, or your relationships, or yourself, or your work, or your children, wherever it might be. So that's how astrology works. So if you look at Saturn and what it means to be in Pisces, it's actually spiritual mastery. If you look at Saturn as the master and Pisces as the world of the spirit, it's spiritual mastery. It's the breaker of illusions. That's Saturn in Pisces. So if you've been under the illusion that everything's fine, or that a situation is fine, Saturn in Pisces could actually show you that there's work to be done in that area, or there's a reassessment that's needed in that area, or you can go to a deeper level of maturity in that particular area of your life. So I think it's to set an intention this full moon to release that which we don't need. Again, still same, to find healing in wherever we feel that we need to find healing, and to commit to some kind of routine to assist us with that process, with the process of healing, with the process of moving through. So I hope that's helped. We still have Mars and Venus in a very close alignment in Aquarius, which is the sign of liberation. It's also the sign of revolution, and we're still seeing a lot of that on our planet. So I think this Virgo moon is very helpful in that she's showing us, she's saying, just stay with what works for you. Eat well. Listen to your body. Listen to what your body is saying to you. If it's stressed out, or if there's a particular issue, see if you can connect with your body. See if you can connect and say, what is it that this is showing me? Is there something? Is there symbolism to it? Is there something that I can shift to actually help more flow come into my body? If you look at the Chiron connection, there's a beautiful affirmation that can be said, especially with Chiron where it is at the moment. And the affirmation is because Chiron is in Aries, basically, and so is the North Node. And that is really about taking our power back. And so one of the ways that we can do that is to use this affirmation, which is, I stand firmly and gently in my own space or my own power, despite what's going on around me. So you could say, despite the opinions and actions of others, despite the hurly-burly world around me, I stand firmly and gently, which means that I'm not standing rigidly. I'm firm, but I'm still able to be flexible, no matter what's going on around me. I hope that has been of some help. Remember to maybe do a little ceremony at full moon. You can light a fire, you can write whatever you want to release onto a piece of paper and put it into the fire. It's quite alchemical and it seems to really sort of send the energy out there. There's a feeling that the energy is actually going out and that you're releasing something. So it's always a good thing to do at full moon. If you enjoyed this, please would you subscribe and hit the notification button and like the video. That really does help to get it out there to more people, and to share it if you feel that it's been helpful. That would be great and I'd appreciate it greatly. I am available for readings and for guidance. So I do life navigation sessions where I look at your chart, but we take it further than the chart and I help you to navigate whatever you might be navigating. So you're welcome to get hold of me and set that up through my website, and the link is down below. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for supporting my channel, and take care of yourself.